Steph, after a season like that and a game like that, what did you feel was important to say to your team right after it ended?
Just how proud I am of them. You know, they have been an absolute joy to coach. It's an incredible group of women, an incredibly connected group. They're a great example to everybody.
What do you call a team that loses half its core to injuries, sees its star guard rush to the hospital mid-game, watches its all-star center foul out on phantom calls, yet still drags the reigning champs to the edge of elimination? That was the 2025 Indiana Fever. The box score crowned the Las Vegas Aces, but Stephanie White's words afterward revealed who truly won. Today, we're diving into one of the most unforgettable playoff fights in WNBA history, and why White's post-game message might shape the Fever's future for years to come. Drop a comment below and tell us how proud you are of this squad.
What it means to just put one foot in front of the other, to persevere, to welcome people into the fold, to not give in to circumstance, to lead with grace and dignity, to sacrifice for a greater good and a common good. I'm so thankful to coach these women, and I'm just thankful for this experience with them.
How does a season built on hope turn into a survival story? For the Indiana Fever, 2025 opened with excitement. Caitlin Clark's rookie magic, a deep bench, a city believing again. But by mid-July, that dream cracked. Clark went down with a groin injury, and the dominoes fell fast. Sydney Coulson's torn ACL, Aari McDonald's foot, Sophie Cunningham's MCL, Chloe BBY's knee, and Dearest Dantas sidelined by a concussion. One by one, the core pieces vanished. What started as a contender's roster was stripped down to the bare frame. On paper, it looked like the perfect recipe for collapse, an early playoff exit, another season lost to rebuilding.
Steph, we talked about resiliency with this team all season long, but tonight it felt like that wasn't a strong enough word. Have you been a part of a game like that? And just, it felt like everyone laid it all out there.
I feel like there's so many games that we've had this year where that's happened. Where you just, you lay it on the line. And, I appreciate what O said, because as coaches, we talk about this all the time. Like, this group continued to allow us as coaches to push them further, harder, to move the bar, to raise the bar.
The crisis went beyond losing star power. Indiana lost its backbone. Injuries shredded not just the top of the roster, but the very depth that holds a season together. The Fever were forced to dig into hardship contracts just to keep uniforms on the court. New faces arrived mid-season, barely unpacked their bags before being thrown into the fire, learning plays on the fly, guarding all-stars on national TV, carrying big-minute loads they were never meant to shoulder.
Oftentimes in sport, there's some resistance to that, and there isn't with this group. There wasn't with this group. And because of that, then because of their connectedness, they're able to accomplish things that some of y'all didn't think that they're capable of accomplishing. But nobody in our locker room had any doubt. And in our huddles, and we kept talking about it, that we're ready for these.
A big part of that calm came from Stephanie White. Her voice never cracked under pressure. While outsiders counted Indiana out, she kept preaching perseverance, urging her team to keep moving forward step by step. Her message, lead with grace, stay dignified, never surrender to circumstance, became the season's backbone. It wasn't only about surviving without Clark, Cunningham, or McDonald. It was about setting a standard that didn't depend on who wore the jersey or how tough the moment was.
Rosters change from year to year. You'll never have the same group. What's that feeling when you walk out of here knowing this is something you'll be talking about for years?
I think the first word that comes to mind is just gratitude. I've experienced some special teams in this league, in this organization, but collectively, this group has been at the top. So I'm extremely grateful for every single one of them.
You saw that belief on full display during the Commissioner's Cup. when Indiana shocked the Minnesota Lynx despite barely having enough healthy bodies to run a normal rotation. That upset stood out not just for the victory, but for what it revealed. The players' trust in each other even when the odds were stacked sky-high against them. Analysts dismissed it as a fluke, insisting Indiana couldn't sustain that spark. Fans outside Indiana mocked the idea of a playoff run. All that doubt only sharpened the Fever's resolve, convincing them they were far more than temporary placeholders. By the postseason, Indiana carried the most dangerous mindset in sports: nothing to lose and everything to gain. They weren't supposed to be there, which made them fearless. That edge pushed them within a game of toppling a reigning dynasty. Their clash with Las Vegas in a winner-take-all fifth game wasn't luck. It was the product of months of being doubted, disrespected, and still refusing to break. But if the regular season forged their backbone, the ultimate test came in one of the most chaotic elimination games the WNBA has witnessed.
This is going to be an off-season full of change in the league. But what these women accomplished together, I mean, it's a special story. It's a special story, and I hope one day it's told. But I'm so proud and so grateful.
What happens when every possible thing goes wrong in one game? That was the story of Game 5 in Las Vegas. The stakes were sky high, Indiana chasing a league-shaking upset, the Aces fighting to avoid an early exit. This wasn't just another matchup. It was the ultimate test of whether the Fever's underdog surge was truly built to last.
Can't hit the mid-range. Mitchell pursues the board. Another chance for Indiana. That's been a theme in the early going. Mitchell a three is good. More second chance point.
Right around the rim.
Mitchell an open look. She got it from three.
From the opening tip, it felt like Indiana was fighting uphill. Already shorthanded, they were missing key rotation players and had to lean on reserves who weren't expected to log big minutes on such a stage. Still, they left everything on the court. Then came the gut punch. Kelsey Mitchell, their offensive engine and emotional heartbeat, suddenly collapsed and was rushed to the hospital with severe cramps. It was a frightening moment that could have broken their spirit. Losing that kind of scoring threat usually sinks a team. But instead of folding, Indiana dug in and kept swinging.
They're going to roll back away the stretcher. But Kelsey Mitchell is going to be helped back towards the locker rooms is Melissa Smith, her former teammate, and then a bevy of the Aces come around to show their respect for Kelsey Mitchell and the remarkable season that she has had, which may have just ended right there.
Meanwhile, Aaliyah Boston wasn't just battling the Aces, she was battling the whistle. From the moment she checked in, questionable calls piled up, forcing her into early foul trouble. Every rebound, every box out felt like a gamble. On the other end, Indiana's players absorbed bumps and shoves with barely a whistle in sight. The frustration was obvious, etched on players' faces and echoed by a restless vocal.
Ball goes up. Aaliyah Boston.
I don't think that's a fact.
To Indiana, and a late loose ball foul is called against.
Are you joking me?
Instead of falling apart, Indiana adapted on the fly. That's when the matchup spiraled into one of the season's most chaotic and controversial battles. Las Vegas leaned heavily on its stars to steady the storm. Aja Wilson was her dominant self, burying clutch buckets whenever the Fever gained momentum. Jackie Young relentlessly attacked the rim and hit tough shots, showcasing why this Aces squad earned its dynasty label. Every time Indiana seemed poised to snatch control, those two delivered the answer that kept Vegas alive.
Fire. She's our battery. She's moving great, and she will drive us, and that's been true so far.
Thank you, Hal. Sims, pull-up jumper, she got it.
Indiana had heroes of its own. Odyssey Sims delivered one of the grittiest showings you'll see in a win-or-go-home playoff game, dropping 27 points. More than the total, it was the timing. Every time the Fever's offense stalled, Sims found a way to spark it. Her mid-range shots and fearless drives kept Indiana's hopes alive all night.
Physicality to finish over smaller defenders.
Howard turns the corner, whips a pass. Hull gives it up. Sims connects on a three. Odyssey Sims now with 12 points.
Off the bench, Shea Petty delivered a spark, hitting key shots and injecting vital energy exactly when the Fever needed it most.
One Las Vegas run. They have their largest lead of the quarter. Boston finds Turner. Turner didn't want to shoot it. Petty will, and knock it down. The stats have not been gaudy, but the decision-making has been excellent tonight from Gray.
Yes.
Petty, they need it. They've got it. Time out.
Most. Lexi Hull, rarely the flashiest name on the floor, came up huge with the gritty plays that rarely make headlines. She fought for tough rebounds in traffic, rotated perfectly to stop drives, and snatched a crucial steal that led to a fast break. Score: team first basketball at its finest under pressure.
Lob it in, Howard. Out to Hull. 6 to shoot. Hull banks it in.
The night's most dramatic twist came with just 27 seconds left in regulation when Aaliyah Boston fouled out on a call that left everyone stunned. Losing their star at that moment should have ended it, but Indiana refused to crumble. Somehow they clawed their way to force overtime. The arena buzzed, not because the Aces were overpowering, but because the Fever refused to bow out. Overtime became pure survival mode. Indiana's rotation was stretched thin, legs heavy, yet they kept trading punches with Las Vegas. In the closing moments, Chelsea Gray sank dagger shots that finally sealed the win for the Aces. But even in defeat, the headline wasn't Vegas advancing. It was Indiana's grit, how they nearly pulled off the impossible with everything stacked against them, setting the scene for Stephanie White's stirring words afterward.
What did this team do that has changed the landscape, arguably, in basketball in Indiana?
Number one, they kept getting back up. Collectively. And I think that oftentimes in sport we see one that might, two that might. They kept getting back up collectively.
Stephanie White's post-game words hit harder than the box score because, after the most exhausting and chaotic loss of the season, she offered Indiana something far deeper than stats. She turned a night of whistles, bruises, and heartbreak into a declaration of identity, defining not just how the Fever played, but who they were becoming.
There's no circumstance that we went through on or off the floor, because we had some off the floor stuff too, that they blinked, that they held their heads down, that they didn't just stand tall and face head on.
Picture the locker room after that game. Players slumped in their seats, ice bags strapped to knees and shoulders, trainers tending to bodies pushed past exhaustion. The silence was the kind that follows a loss decided by the thinnest of margins, a single possession in overtime. Normally, that kind of defeat lingers for weeks. Yet when Stephanie White stepped to the podium, her tone didn't sound like heartbreak. It sounded like a warning. She called her group an absolute joy to coach, and it wasn't just polite coach speak after a tough loss. She praised their dignity, their perseverance, their unity, qualities forged through a season of setbacks and doubts. Every player had faced moments where moving forward felt impossible, but White's words reminded them why they had endured. Rather than harp on officiating or missed opportunities, she shifted the focus to identity, making it clear this team had found something untouchable: the resilience to hold together when everything around them threatens to fall apart.
I don't see a lot of that nowadays. I know I sound really old right now, but you just don't. And they continued to pour into one another. They continued to pour into us as coaches. They continued to allow us to push them on days and moments when they could have very easily just given up. Yeah. They loved on us. They loved on one another. And it makes it really special when it sucks that it's over.
Her words struck a chord with the players. Lexi Hull spoke afterward about how battling through foul trouble and chaotic rotations went beyond strategy. It was about pride. She described it as fuel, proof that they belonged on that stage, earning respect one possession at a time. That was exactly what White had underscored. This wasn't merely a loss. It was the foundation of a new standard.
How impressive of a job did Stephanie do as coach with all the moving parts throughout the season?
I mean, incredible. Simply incredible. Be so easy to give up and say, we're just gonna take this year, we're gonna be a building year, we're gonna get better, set ourselves up for a good season next year. She came at us and challenged us to continue to fight. So not every coach could do that, and not every coach could motivate a group to do that. And so just really special coach, really special person, and grateful to be able to learn from her.
Analysts noticed the shift too. They stopped seeing Indiana as a patchwork roster that lucked into contention and started recognizing a real foundation. This wasn't a fluke run. It looked like a blueprint. Clark's return, a healthy Mitchell's scoring, Boston's dominance inside, Petty's hustle, and White's steady hand on the sidelines. White's words reframed the season as the rise of a legitimate contender.
This season has been all about figuring it out. No matter what happens, what comes around the corner, figuring out the entire staff. I mean, seriously, they just did a tremendous job with adjustments the entire season. No matter what, someone went down, we needed a different action. Like, they were quick on their feet, and that's how they've been the entire season. And so tonight, when Kelsey goes down, no surprise. But I think it also goes to show our entire motto has been next woman up. And be ready, stay ready so you don't have to get ready. And I feel like that's exactly what happened tonight, and everyone was just ready when their name was called.
That's why Stephanie White's press conference mattered. She didn't just manage the emotions of a single night, she laid out Indiana's blueprint for the future. Her message to the team and to the league was clear. Their battle scars mean something. Her words weren't just pride. They were a warning, don't expect Indiana to fade. The Fever will return stronger, now fully aware of who they are.
Steph, I know what a competitor you are. How soon do you start thinking about, okay, let's start thinking about next year?
Tomorrow.
I knew it.
You could have
held hands with that. I knew it.
This is what happens. When you're on the same wavelength, good things happen.
I knew it.
What's that mindset like you both have? And why are you already like, okay, that's happened, we're on to the next?
It's because you can't hold on to it. I mean, you just look at it, and obviously we're going to be watching the championship games, and that's going to be a feeling that we want to be in that next year. And that's going to be the mindset. It's already prepping. I told you, we're ready to go.
And we're competitors.
Exactly.
I mean, at the end of the day, like, this makes you hungry for more.
What happens when a team loses in the playoffs but somehow walks away with something bigger? That's exactly what the Indiana Fever did in 2025. On paper, it looks like an elimination loss. A grueling 5-game series that ended in favor of the two-time champion Las Vegas Aces. But the reality was far more significant. That series redefined how the Fever are viewed across the league. They didn't leave Las Vegas as an afterthought or a rebuilding project. They left as one of the WNBA's true rising forces. That's the irony of their run. The series ended in heartbreak, but the fight they showed changed their reputation. Analysts acknowledged it. Fans across the country felt it. Even rival players now recognize the Fever don't just chase respect, they command it. They knocked out Atlanta on the road in an elimination game, then pushed the Aces into overtime of a decisive Game 5. Indiana proved resilience isn't a slogan, it's their brand of basketball. The loss didn't diminish their season, it elevated it.
Leah, how will you remember this group and this special run that you had all season?
Yeah, I mean, this has been my best year. Seriously, I think with the people that we had in the locker room, the amount of fun that I had on the court, off the court, in the locker room, we just talked about how special this group was and how we're always going to be connected. And honestly, that's how I feel like these women became my sisters so quickly, and it was honestly just some of the best basketball I've had.
Then came Sophie Cunningham's fiery declaration. You better believe we're coming for everybody next season. That wasn't just a headline-ready quote, it was a warning. Her words made it clear that facing Indiana in 2026 won't mean facing a rebuilding team, but a roster intent on leaping into true championship contention. Looking at who's coming back, the warning carries weight. Caitlin Clark, finally healthy, will transform the offense with her unmatched court vision and limitless shooting range. Aaliyah Boston remains the rock inside, already one of the league's premier interior forces. Kelsey Mitchell, who averaged over 23 points per game in the playoffs before cramps ended her Game 5, brings the essential scoring punch the Fever can't thrive without. And then there's Lexi Hull, the glue piece who defends, rebounds, and does whatever's needed to win. That core four gives Indiana one of the youngest, most balanced rosters in the league, built not just to compete, but to contend.
How are you assessing your growth year over year, and what are you looking forward to?
Yeah, honestly, I feel like I'm super proud of myself. Just like you said, adjusting and adapting. And for me, like, a championship's always on my mind. I think no matter what happens, like, obviously you hate losing, but you kind of started with your question with just the progression that it's been. And so for me, obviously, that's my mindset. We got a taste of it, Game 5 semifinals, and now we want the real thing. And that's honestly going to be our mindset coming in for next year. And I'm super excited going into this offseason. Time to put a lot of work in. Just get ready to come back and win.
Contend. The strength of this core isn't just raw talent. It's Stephanie White's next woman up culture. She's built an environment where every player matters, where no setback or injury is an excuse to stop fighting. That mindset carried Indiana through 2025 and now positions them perfectly for a leap forward in 2026. Add depth. Keep the chemistry. Lean into the identity forged through adversity. That's the real championship blueprint. Yes, the Aces advanced. But the Fever walked away with something bigger, proof of who they are, and a vision of what's coming. They didn't just earn respect. They found their identity and showed that resilience can be a weapon. The heartbreak of that loss wasn't the end of the story. It was the start of something special. Through injuries, setbacks, and doubt, the Fever built the foundation for championships ahead. Now the question belongs to you. Do you believe 2026 will be the year Indiana turns heartbreak into triumph? Let us know how proud you are of this team in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Click the video on screen, and we'll see you in the next one.